Hey guys, sorry again. I know it's been like a really long time since I've posted. I've just been really busy with a lot of new things. But today I had a post that I've been meaning to do for a while. Kind of since I hit the 1 year mark, I've had some thoughts about before transition and getting into the later stages of transition and how I've seen myself change and how I feel differently from how I felt when I first, I guess before I began transition. So I wanted to talk about a couple different areas before and after and let you know how I've changed across the past, I guess it's been about 18 months, no, 16 months now that I've been on hormones, a little bit longer than that I've been actually transitioning. So before, I've talked a lot about fear, shame, and guilt. Before I felt so much of these three things, I was so terrified that somebody would find out the truth about me. Um, I didn't know how I was going to keep it a secret for the rest of my life. I'd somehow managed to for the first 27 years, but some of that was actually just by pure luck. Like I didn't, especially as things were just getting more and more intense for me, I didn't have any clue how I was going to be able to keep it at bay to a point where people wouldn't be able to figure it out. Shame over, asking myself this question of why did I feel this way? Why me? Why do I have to be so unusual or abnormal? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I be a regular guy? Um, I used to, I guess, wish for that in the absence of the possibility of being a cisgendered woman or being born a girl. I wished that I could just be a regular, normal guy. Back then, I also used to have this huge desire for transition to actually become who I felt that I was. It was so time consuming. It was, I think at one point I figured out that I would think about, read about, watch videos of trans women for like upwards of 40 hours a week, which is a full-time job. That's crazy. You can't dedicate a full-time job's worth of mental energy and time into something like this and not have it have a pretty severe effect on your life and your mental health. So it was time consuming, it was thought consuming, and it was relationship stifling. I couldn't really manage to be in a relationship with a woman or a man or anybody because I wasn't happy with who I was. I couldn't relate to anybody else in any real way. It was so artificial, and the older I got, the more I realized that it was, my relationships with other people in a male body it was all play acting basically, and that was really really hard to take. And then the last part of, I guess, the biggest part of how I felt before was just I had a lot of self-hate based around my feelings that I was a coward, that I knew something to be true about myself, that I knew in my heart that I was a transsexual and that I would be, that I should at least attempt to transition to figure out where it should go. But I wasn't. I was too scared to. I'd had that desire my entire life, and I was not capable of stepping up to the plate and taking a chance and going for it and exploring to see how deep those feelings went and what it was that I truly wanted with my life. I knew that I wanted it more than anything, and I wished that I could face the truth. And it began to get to a point where I couldn't say to myself anymore, maybe I'll do this at some point in the future. It was becoming more of, who am I? Am I the type of person who will face their fears, or am I the type of person who won't? And that was scary, and that led to a really really deep seated fear of the future. I didn't know what the future held for me. I didn't know if I was going to be strong enough to start dealing with this, and it kind of gave me this feeling in my life that I couldn't look beyond a certain point. Maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months ahead of me, where I could see an immediate future. If you asked me what my life looked like 5 years from now, a year and a half ago, I would have had no idea. I wouldn't have been able to tell you at all. I refused to think about it. So that was me before transition. That's, what my life was like, what my mind frame was like. After transition, I'll go back to the fear and guilt stuff first. There's no more fear. Everybody knows. I don't care who knows. Everybody should know by now. If there's anybody that knew me or was a part of my life in any way that doesn't know, I hope they find out somehow. And if I knew who they were, I would tell them. I'm incredibly open about this. I'm willing to talk about it in public. I'm willing to talk about it on YouTube. It's who I am. It's a part of me. I'm not ashamed of it anymore, and I'm not scared of people finding out because, they should know it. It's who I am. So from there, that takes away a lot of the guilt associated with it. Um, I was so scared to assert this about myself. I was so worried that it was somehow selfish of me to come out, to tell the world this is how I feel, to be who I actually want to be. But as I transitioned, I've realized all that guilt was so completely unfounded. It was it was not selfish. It was not selfish in the slightest. In fact, it would have been in some ways selfish of me to not acknowledge the truth. Because then I would deny the world and the people in my life the opportunity to know and experience me at my full potential. Um, you can't say that you're living to your full potential if you have something like this inside of yourself so deep and so intimate and so core to who you are, and not acknowledge it and not do something about it and not be honest about it and integrate it into your life. It just, if you don't, it's so guilt provoking, and you'll frame it as a selfish thing when it's not at all. I see myself now not as defective. I don't say, oh, why can't I be normal? Though I still wish that I could have been born a cisgendered female. That would have made my life easier. I don't have that feeling like I used to of, oh, just let me be a normal guy, or just let me be a normal person. I don't see myself as abnormal. I see myself as a unique person, a very complex and unique individual who has an individual life experience that's valuable to other people. And I don't think I saw myself that way prior to transitioning, or prior to figuring this out. So that's been a long time coming. That's been a big part of transitioning for me. The next part, the desire that I talked about, the thinking about it for 40 plus hours a week. I can't say that it doesn't still consume a lot of my thoughts and energy, but it's not the way that it was. Now it's actually productive. I can put that energy into making myself a better person, furthering my transition, getting closer to who I want to be, what type of person I want to be, and what type of future I want to have. It's a focused energy. It's not like this internalized treadmill that goes nowhere. And the fact of the matter is, like, my deepest desires, the things that I wished for, they're all coming true. And in a lot of ways, it's like it's so amazing. It's like Christmas every day sometimes when I think about it. I can't comprehend my life now. It's so much better. I'm so much happier. I'm it's beyond words in a lot of ways for me. It's like I've been given this gift that just all I need to do is think about it for a minute and it brings me happiness. Whereas before, when I would think about it, it would just make me feel sad, or anxious or depressed. And now relationships flourish for me. I'm completely honest. I don't have anything to hide, so I can just be completely myself. I don't feel like I'm trying to make up for something, or I don't even know how. I guess there's just such a difference in feeling authentic in a relationship. It makes it a different. It just makes it different. And then the self-hate that I talked about, it's gone. I stepped up. I accomplished facing my biggest fear. And there's really, there's no denying it was my biggest fear. And for many of you, it's your biggest fear as well. There's nothing that could even come close to the fear associated with facing this. It's scary. It's terrifying. But I've faced it, and I can say that. I've faced this thing that I held inside and was terrified of for so long. And it turns out I am the type of person that can do this. And you all are too. It's not like, it doesn't take some special thing. It just takes being sick of not doing anything about it, really. And then a commitment to taking baby steps. That's all it is. And all of that, the knowledge that I've been able to do this, it brings me a new sense of self-love. It's just the confidence and knowledge that I was able to handle it. It makes me love myself more in a strange way. It just does. I guess in the way that you would love a friend that you saw doing something brave and facing their own fears, you would maybe love them a little bit more because they've done something exceptional. It's given that, I've given that to myself, and I feel that way about myself. And then lastly, I feel like I have a newfound understanding of who I am. I still have a ways to go with this transition, but I'm closer to feeling fully authentic than I've ever been in my entire life. And that is deeply satisfying. I can't overstate how satisfying that feels. And I'm for once excited about the future. I still don't know what 5 years, 10 years, 20 years holds for me down the line, but I can imagine myself in those, in that. I can imagine myself happy years down the road, whereas before my brain just wouldn't even do it. So anyway, that's me at, I guess, about 16 or 17 months transition. If you guys have any questions, keep sending them to me. I love getting questions or comments or messages from you guys, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. But until next time, have a happy New Year and Merry Christmas, and see you guys soon.